Imagine standing in the largest stadium on Earth. You are not there for a sport. You are one of 150,000 people, packed into Pyongyang's Rungrado 1st of May Stadium. On the field below, 100,000 performers move as one, a synchronized ocean of humanity. But the real spectacle is in the stands, with you. On a signal, you and 20,000 others on the far side of the stadium raise a colored book. In an instant, you have become a single pixel in a colossal mosaic, a vibrant, flawless image of a smiling leader or a soaring missile. The sound is deafening, a roar of manufactured ecstasy. The precision is terrifying. Not a single card is out of place. It is, by any measure, one of the most breathtaking artistic displays ever conceived. But as you hold that card, your arms aching, your heart pounding, a cold question seeps into your mind. What happens to the person who flips to the wrong page? What is the punishment for a single misplaced pixel? This is North Korea's Arirang Mass Games, a spectacle of absolute control. And beneath its stunning beauty lies a truth so dark, so fundamentally abnormal, it challenges our very understanding of what a country is. What force can bend 100,000 wills into a single flawless performance? And what does this terrifying perfection tell us about the 25 million souls living inside the world's most isolated state? The answer is not found in politics or ideology, but in a meticulously engineered system of terror, a psychological prison built on a national scale, where every citizen is both an inmate and a guard. To understand this reality, we must move beyond the spectacle and focus on a single pixel. Her name is Kim Ji-eun. Not her real name, of course. Her identity must be protected, as the regime's memory is long and its reach extends far beyond its borders. In the late 1990s, Ji-eun was a schoolgirl in Pyongyang. She was 9 years old when she was selected for the mass games. For her, it was not an honor. It was a sentence. For 6 months, 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, she and thousands of other children were bused to a training ground. Their task was simple and monstrous: to perfect the art of disappearing. They were not children. They were components. They practiced the card flipping routine until their arms felt like lead and their fingers bled. The instructors, stern-faced party officials, walked the rows with wooden rods. A missed cue, a slow turn of a page, a moment of lapsed concentration, and the rod would snap across a child's back or legs. The goal was not just synchronization, it was the complete erasure of the individual. Ji-eun learned to suppress every impulse, the need to scratch an itch, to yawn, to look at a friend. Her entire being was focused on a single point of failure. The gripping detail she remembers most vividly is the silence. Between the shouted commands and the blaring patriotic music, there was a dead, fearful silence among the children. No one complained. No one cried out. They understood with the profound and terrifying clarity of children in a totalitarian state that their performance was not for applause. It was a demonstration of loyalty, and any flaw was a sign of treason. The personal stakes were absolute. A mistake would not just bring shame upon her, but upon her entire family. It could affect their Songbun, their class status, and condemn them to a life of hardship. For Ji-eun, the mass games were her first lesson in the fundamental truth of North Korea. You are not a person. You are a part of the whole, and the whole exists only to serve the glory of one family. This bizarre and brutal system did not emerge from a vacuum. Its roots are buried in the ashes of the Korean War, a conflict that ended in 1953 not with peace, but with an armistice, a pause. The peninsula was cleaved in two, creating a sealed border, a scar across a once unified culture. In the north, a former anti-Japanese, guerrilla fighter named Kim Il-sung, installed by the Soviets, was given a blank slate. He sought to build a new kind of nation, one utterly divorced from the outside world and completely beholden to him. He called his new state religion Juche, typically translated as self-reliance. On the surface, it was a compelling idea for a war-ravaged country. We will be the masters of our own destiny. But in practice, Juche became a tool for absolute isolation and control. It severed North Korea from the global community, from economic norms, from history itself. The prevailing belief was no longer rooted in Korean tradition or Marxist theory. It was rooted in the divine wisdom of Kim Il-sung. A cult of personality was meticulously constructed. History was rewritten. Kim was said to have descended from heaven, to be able to turn pine cones into bullets, to be a genius of science, art, and philosophy. This deification created a society where questioning the leader was not just a political crime, but blasphemy. The seeds of doubt for the outside world were plentiful, but inside they were systematically eliminated. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, North Korea lost its primary benefactor. The economy imploded, leading to a catastrophic famine in the mid-1990s known as the Arduous March. Instead of weakening the regime, this period of mass death, estimated to have killed up to 3.5 million people, only intensified its paranoia. The state blamed the famine on American sanctions and natural disasters, using the suffering to reinforce the Yush narrative. The world is hostile, and only the supreme leader can protect us. The fear of starvation was fused with the fear of the outside enemy, creating a population traumatized, dependent, and utterly trapped. To truly comprehend the abnormality of North Korea, we must conduct a journalistic investigation into the machinery of its control, a system so pervasive and so deeply embedded in daily life that it becomes invisible to those within it. This is not a state governed by laws in the way we understand them. It is a society managed by fear. The first and most critical component of this machine is the surveillance state. According to a landmark 2014 United Nations Commission of Inquiry report, the DPRK operates a system of surveillance that has no parallel in the contemporary world. This begins at the most granular level with the Inminban, or neighborhood watch. Every community is divided into units of 20 to 40 families, overseen by a state-appointed leader, typically a loyal older woman. This leader monitors every aspect of the unit's life: who visits, who leaves, what they say, whether they are properly maintaining the mandatory portraits of the Kim leaders in their homes. They conduct surprise inspections, looking for any sign of ideological impurity, an untuned radio, a forbidden book, as detailed in defector testimonies compiled by Human Rights Watch. These Inminban leaders file regular reports with the Ministry of People's Security. Your neighbor is not your friend. They are a potential informant, and their report could determine your family's fate. This ground-level surveillance is overseen by the feared Ministry of State Security, or BOIBU. They are the secret police, the enforcers of loyalty, operating outside of any legal framework. They are responsible for running the nation's political prison camps and rooting out dissent before it can even form. The second pillar of control is the Songbun system, a hereditary caste structure that is arguably the most comprehensive social engineering project in modern history. As documented by the Committee for Human Rights in North Korea, every single citizen is classified into one of three main classes based on their family's perceived loyalty to the regime during the Korean War. These are the core class, the descendants of revolutionary fighters, the wavering class, ordinary citizens, and the hostile class, those whose ancestors were landowners, Christians, or had connections to South Korea or Japan. Your Songbun is assigned at birth and is nearly impossible to change. It dictates everything: where you can live, what job you can hold, what education you can receive, your access to food, and even whom you can marry. A person with bad Songbun can never live in the capital Pyongyang, can never attend university, and will be assigned the most arduous manual labor. It is a system of political original sin, where generations are punished for the perceived crimes of their ancestors. This creates a society paralyzed by suspicion. A family with hostile Songbun is forever under a cloud of distrust, their every action scrutinized. It is a brilliant and diabolical method of control, ensuring that the population is not a unified whole, but a fractured collection of competing loyalties, all vying for the favor of the state. For those who fall foul of this system, the consequences are unimaginable. The third pillar of the regime is its network of political prison camps, or kwanliso. These are not prisons in the conventional sense. They are death camps. Satellite imagery, analyzed by organizations like Amnesty International, has identified several large camps scattered across the country's mountainous regions, holding an estimated 80,000 to 120,000 people. The 2014 UN report, drawing on the harrowing testimony of defectors like Shin Dong-hyuk, who was born in a camp and later escaped, described the conditions in detail. The report states, and I quote, "The gravity, scale, and nature of these violations reveal a state that does not have any parallel in the contemporary world. These include extermination, murder, enslavement, torture, imprisonment, rape, forced abortions, and other sexual violence, persecution on political, religious, racial, and gender grounds, the forcible transfer of populations, the enforced disappearance of persons, and the inhumane act of knowingly causing prolonged starvation. In these camps, prisoners are worked to death in mines or on farms, subsisting on meager rations of corn and salt. 3 generations of a family are often imprisoned for the crime of one member, a policy designed to eliminate the seed of dissent. Public executions are routine, used to enforce discipline and terrorize the inmate population. The existence of the kwanliso serves as the ultimate deterrent. Every citizen knows that a wrong word, a critical thought, could lead not only to their own death, but to the condemnation of their entire bloodline. The final, and perhaps most insidious, layer of control is the total monopolization of information. North Korea is an information black hole. There is no internet for the general public, only a heavily censored, state-run intranet. All televisions and radios are legally required to be fixed to state-run channels, which broadcast a relentless stream of propaganda celebrating the godlike genius of the Kim family and the imminent collapse of the corrupt American empire. As documented by journalist Barbara Demick in her book Nothing to Envy, generations of North Koreans have grown up with a completely fabricated version of reality. They are taught that Kim Il-sung single-handedly defeated the Japanese and the Americans, that South Korea is an impoverished American puppet state, and that North Korea is a socialist paradise envied by the world. This information vacuum is crucial for the regime's survival. However, in recent years, this wall has begun to crack. Defector networks and smugglers risk their lives to bring in outside information on USB drives and SD cards. These devices, containing South Korean dramas, Hollywood movies, and world news, are a potent poison to the regime. They show North Koreans a world of prosperity, freedom, and creativity that directly contradicts everything they have been taught. The state has responded with extreme brutality. 2020, a new reactionary thought and culture denunciation law was passed, making the consumption of foreign media punishable by death. This is the regime's greatest fear, not a military invasion, but an invasion of truth. The simple act of watching a television show has become a capital crime, a testament to the fragility of a system built entirely on lies. The state's desperation to maintain this information monopoly reveals its deepest vulnerability. The shocking truth The revelation that emerges from this investigation is that North Korea is not a country in any conventional sense. It is not a communist state, a socialist republic, or even a simple dictatorship. It is something far stranger and more disturbing. The entire state apparatus, the huge ideology, the million-man army, the surveillance state, the gulags, is a sophisticated front for what is, in essence, a family-run criminal enterprise whose sole purpose is the preservation of the Kim dynasty. The abnormality is not a bug. It is the system's core feature, functioning with ruthless perfection. The defining discovery is this: ideology is merely a tool. Future is not a philosophy the leadership believes in. It is a control mechanism, a secular religion designed to justify absolute power and sacrifice. The real business of North Korea, conducted by shadowy organizations like the infamous Bureau 39, is crime. According to numerous reports from the UN panel of experts, the US Treasury Department, and international intelligence agencies, the regime funds itself and its lavish lifestyle through a global network of illicit activities. This includes the state-sponsored hacking and cryptocurrency theft by groups like the Lazarus Group, the industrial-scale production and trafficking of methamphetamines, the counterfeiting of high-quality supernotes of US currency, and the violation of international sanctions to sell weapons. The nuclear weapons program itself is not just for defense, it is the ultimate extortion tool, a guarantee of the dynasty's survival. This shifts our entire perspective. We stop seeing North Korea as a bizarre failed state and start seeing it for what it is: a brilliantly successful mafia family that has managed to seize control of a country and its 25 million people. The public starvation, the mass spectacles, the belligerent threats, they are all business decisions. They are the calculated actions of a leadership that views its population not as citizens to be served, but as resources to be exploited for the singular goal of maintaining power at any cost. The implications of this revelation are profound and deeply unsettling. North Korea is not some distant, irrelevant oddity. It is a living, breathing case study in the absolute extremes of totalitarianism, a dark laboratory demonstrating what happens when a society is completely severed from objective truth. It shows us that a state can survive not on prosperity or legitimacy, but on a perfectly calibrated mixture of fear, isolation, and lies. The universal themes at play are a chilling reflection of humanity's darkest potentials: the fragility of individual consciousness in the face of relentless propaganda, the terrifying power of a deified leader, and the moral compromises people will make for survival. But this is not just a philosophical exercise. The existence of the Kim regime has urgent modern relevance. As of today, January 10, 2026, its nuclear and ballistic missile programs continue to be a primary source of global instability, threatening not just its neighbors, but the entire world. Its state-sponsored cybercriminals actively work to undermine global financial institutions, stealing billions of dollars and proving that its isolation is no barrier to inflicting chaos abroad. Most importantly, the ongoing human rights catastrophe, the crimes against humanity documented by the United Nations, is a direct challenge to the conscience of the world. The story of North Korea matters because it is not ancient history. It is a crisis happening right now, a stark reminder that the fight for basic human dignity and truth is never truly over. It forces us to ask what our responsibility is to those 25 million people trapped in a nightmare from which they cannot wake. So we return to the stadium, to the breathtaking, terrifying spectacle of the mass games. We see the 100,000 performers moving in perfect unison, the 20,000 faces in the stands flipping their colored cards at the precise ordained second. But we no longer see a mystery. We see the product of a flawless system of control. we see the child, Kim Ji-eun, her arms aching, her mind focused on a single task, not out of artistic passion, but out of a primal fear for herself and her family. The beautiful mosaic is an illusion, painted with the threat of the gulag, the promise of starvation, and the complete erasure of the self. North Korea is the ultimate testament to the fact that a society can be forced to build its own prison, to celebrate its own captivity, and to deify its own warden. It is a dark mirror held up to the world, showing us the terrifying endpoint of a reality manufactured by power. And it leaves us with one final haunting question. If a lie is told loudly enough, and for long enough, and if the consequences of disbelief are absolute, does it, for all intents and purposes, become the truth?